I've been waiting for someone like you. I've been waiting. Can't believe I finally found you. Could you be the one I need? You're my obsession. You're my obsession. Yeah.
Hey now, and just like that, welcome into Press Pass live here for the OMFL, your world's oldest and longest online CFM in the world. This is your weekly podcast coming to you late on a Monday night after a Saints tough loss against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think I'm flying solo. I haven't heard from the guys. Actually, that's not 100% true. I technically did hear from the guys because Dwayne is playing his game right now. And Maniac said that there's a good chance he was not going to be able to hang out that long. So let's get over here and we're going to wing it tonight. I have no clue what all we're going to cover tonight. We're absolutely going to wing it, but we're going to wing it together. And we're going to do a little checkup. So we're going to look at some games that happened this past couple of advances. We're going to take a quick look at some standings and where we are. There are no mailbag questions. I don't know where you guys are with the mailbag. I guess you were not interested this week in the mailbag, but we're going to open it up and just sort of look at where players are, look at some surprises. I'm going to get out for the night and stay committed. Look at Mr. Lattimore right there with 11 interceptions. You guys wouldn't throw to him when he was a New Orleans Saint, but you're definitely throwing to him as a Jacksonville Jaguar. Let's look at a couple of games from these last couple of advances. There were definitely a couple of really good ones that we want to break down and take a look at. We are already in week number 10. You see Dallas came away with a 23-0 victory there. Philadelphia doing some interesting things, picking up a quarterback. Let's look at the last three advances. The Saints fall to the Broncos 27-24. This was a really good game, came down to the wire. Saints made a play on defense, and Madden said, nay, you can't have it. You can't have it. Didn't give me the interceptions. Broncos ended up turning that one into points, which ended up being the game-winning points in that one. Seattle with a 25-22 victory over Atlanta. Atlanta been hanging tough this season. A really good team that I think could go a really long way whenever we get to the playoffs. Cincinnati with a 24-19 victory over the Cleveland Browns. The Buddy Bowl goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. And I don't think I'm mistaken to say, I think our guy Lil Koch has swept that season series. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that one is true. Green Bay with a 38-34 victory over the Houston Texans. Detroit with a 48-21 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. The Rams with a 34-31 victory over the Vegas Raiders. Carolina flexing on the computer, 36-7. San Francisco falling to KC, 28-23. Oh, this was a sim game, so I guess that's actually nothing to talk about. And look at Arizona hanging 52 points. That might have been a CPU game there with the hurricane that was happening. Going to look at week number 8, the Rams with a 29-28 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Cleveland bouncing back, the 24-14 victory over the Ravens. I heard, though, that the Ravens have been using remote play in his game, so maybe that's what we're seeing there. Arizona, the 20-21 loss to the Miami Dolphins. That's a tough one as you come down to the wire there. New England losing 35-31 against the New York Jets. Tampa Bay falls to Atlanta 16-14. Lots of good close games there, back to back there. What else we got here? Buffalo with a 23-21 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. I got to watch this one. Maniac played lights out, just kept the Seahawks off balance. They weren't able to find any rhythm, and Buffalo gets a big-time victory there against the Seattle Seahawks. Dallas with a 21-17 victory over the San Francisco 49ers, and the Giants with a 34-32 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then finally last week, week number 9, a bunch of really close games here. Dallas with a 16-14 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. Those Falcons, I'm telling you, have been right there with some big time games this season, just coming up barely short, but I think that will pay them off as we get closer to the playoffs. Miami with a 25-27 loss against the Buffalo Bills. They continue to roll. The Bengals 35, the Vegas Raiders 30, a big time victory there. Cleveland 16, the Chargers 7, man, a good defensive battle in that one. Minnesota with a 30-22 victory over the Colts. Me and Mr. Bronco Man, Randy, Reluctant Pancake, we're feeling the same. We're not digging this cycle, but hey, Randy, you can dust it off. You won a lot last cycle. Suck it up. It's just one half of one season, so you got this. The New York Giants, a 19-12 victory over the Washington Commanders. Denver 24, Baltimore 10. The Arizona Cardinals. I don't know why I want to say the Ravens because I was looking at Baltimore there. The Arizona Cardinals fall to the Chicago Bears 31-24. Green Bay, a big time victory over Tim and his Lions 41-6. The Seattle Seahawks bounce back 24-17. And then finally Tampa Bay with a big time victory over the Kansas City Chiefs 21-13. And what are we watching for week number 10? There should be a couple of really good games. Looks like the Giants and Panthers are underway right now. I don't know what that score may be. Patriots and Bears should be a really good game on paper. Broncos and Chiefs could go a long way to deciding that division. 49ers and Buccaneers. 49ers not showing themselves to be the powerhouse that we know them to be. Kevin and his Buccaneers are rolling right now in this season. That could be a really, really fun game. Jets and Cardinals, we've seen the Jets sort of hit and miss. Cardinals have hung up big points, but also struggled in a few games. That could be a really fun one. And those are a couple of matchups that we're looking in week number 10. Now, I want to do some quick checkup about where we are right now for this season. And for this season right now, we've got a couple of standings that are interesting to say the least. Going to reverse engineer this one and go backwards from the AFC. Bengals 7-2, Browns 7-2, Ravens and Steelers look to be out of it. I mean, not quite out of it, but they're right there on the cusp. Bengals 7-2, Browns 7-2. I do think the Bengals have won that series. I could be completely wrong. Browns playing outstanding defense. Bengals playing outstanding offense. That's going to be a fun race as we get towards the end of that one. AFC South, Jacksonville 7-2. This is probably one of the bigger surprises. Everybody really thought that Randy and the Colts would get rolling here. They are 1-8. Their season is absolutely over. Texans haven't really found that consistency with the defense. Titans, that team isn't quite built for him. Jaguars have really ran away from this, playing really good defense, playing really good offense, sitting at 7-2. They have found some things that are working for them, and I'm glad because his upper lip and bottom lip have been dragging the floor for about 3 Maddens, and I'm glad that he's finally enjoying himself while I sulk in the corner. This is a really good opportunity that this is going to be my last Madden cycle. I think I am most likely going to retire after this Madden. I think the game has just passed me by, and I don't have the makeup of guys that can just be the perennial losers. So I think my transition is coming up by the end of this cycle. Bills and Mr. Maniac, I see him in chat. Sorry, I missed you, buddy. I thought there was no way in the world. I hadn't heard from anybody, and I thought you were not up. He's sitting at 7-2, and man, he's got that team absolutely rolling. A massive victory against the Seattle Seahawks that shows that he is a powerhouse in the AFC, and then followed it up with a big victory over the Dolphins. The Jets here have been the surprising team in this division because I really thought that they would have a team that would be able to compete there, but Cincyberg has been slow out of the block. Patriots, a little hit and miss. The Dolphins have really good offense, but tend to be losing these really close games. This is all about the Bills running away. AFC West, Broncos at 7-2, Raiders at 5-4, Chiefs at 3-5, Chargers at 3-5. This one looks to be another runaway. The Raiders are going to try their best to hunt down one of their buddies in another buddy bowl later in this season, but the Broncos seem to be doing all of the things that maybe the Dolphins that we were just talking about are not doing. Broncos are rocking and rolling. They're winning these really close games. I still wonder, though, do they have enough firepower that it takes to win these late season games? Because if they get in the playoffs, they play the kind of football that wins in the playoffs. Ball control, play really good defense, and not turn the ball over. That could do them well once they get in the playoffs. Broncos, a team to watch. Looking at the NFC North, Packers at 7-2, Bears at 6-2, Vikings at 4-4, starting to fight their way back. Biggest surprise here, the Lions at 2-6. Tim had that team rolling last season. They've taken a bit of a step back here. The offense isn't there. Playing not terrible defense here. The Packers, even though they've dropped a couple big games, good offense, really good defense, I should say. They are playing really good football. Bears, on the other hand, struggling kind of on defense, but pretty good offense. That will be a fun matchup as we get down to the end here. Packers, not a lot of postseason experience. Colin and his Bears. Well, Colin actually in many different stops does have postseason experience. Let's see what happens if these two teams get into December to see who wins that division. Falcons at 6-3 with Big Hurt. Buccaneers at 6-3. Panthers starting to crawl back into this one at 4-5. My Saints, their season is absolutely over, dropping 6 straight here. Falcons playing with a rookie quarterback. You want to see more from that offense. They've lost a couple of really close games here. They play exceptional defense. Buccaneers are sort of on the other side of that. They have exceptional offense. Kevin knows how to spread you out. get big points. Let's see what he can do on defense. Panthers, sort of that all-around team. When he's hitting, he's absolutely hitting. And right now, he's got his team on a 3-game winning streak. That could be a really fun division as we get down to November and December. Cowboys at 7-2 in the NFC East. The Giants at 6-3. Eagles 2-7. Commanders 0-9. We might have a winless team here. 328 points given up. This one will be all about the Cowboys, but the Giants are putting people on notice because he is playing really good defense. But then you look at the Cowboys, only 127 points surrendered this season. That's all about the Cowboys, but the Giants are going to be a team you do not want to see come into your home once we get to the wild card. Seahawks in the NFC West 7-2, 49ers 5-3, Cardinals hanging in there at 4-5, Rams and Mr. Nosanger is going to come up. Oh no, he's actually in another team. Who's the Rams? I don't know. It's not coming to me off the top of my head. But at 2-6, his season is all about over. Cardinals is just like barely hanging on. Dropping the last 2 games has really hurt them. 49ers, I don't know if he's napping, if he's just sort of letting himself fall behind here so that, he can give himself a challenge after starting 5-0. He's now dropped 3 straight. Seahawks dropping the big game to Mr. Maniac, man, getting himself rocked there against the Bills, but he has shown himself to be victorious over the 49ers. Let's see what happens. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you. And that is a quick look at the updated rankings here in the OMFL. Bills, your number 1 team. Cowboys 2. Seahawks 3. Broncos 4. Bengals 5. Browns 6. Jaguars 7. Packers 8. Bears 9. Giants 10. How would you have these teams moved around, maybe reversed here? I think you got to put the Falcons up there, even though he's lost some tight games. Buccaneers have to be in that conversation. This top 10 feels pretty secure in how it's looking so far this season. Coming to past the midway point, when we start getting into the second half of this season, this is where the really good teams begin to separate themselves from the teams that sort of struggle. And I want to look at a couple of stats and see some surprises that we're going to see in this one here early on. Let's not look at anything that the Saints have to offer. They're pretty terrible. Mr. Rusty Starr leading the league in yards so far, 28 touchdowns, but the 20 interceptions. It's going to be pretty tough to overcome. 64% completion percentage for a 101.5 rating. Burrow right up here, 20 touchdowns, again, 15 interceptions. That's going to be a bit of a pain to overcome. Stroud, 15-13. Duke, 19-12 with 64%. He's playing really, really good football. If you come right down here to the Seahawks, White, he's 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 64% completion percentage, a rating of 123.5. This guy is quietly having an MVP words escaping me here tonight. MVP style season. I don't always look at the yards. The yards are sexy. They're up there. I want to see that touchdown to interception ratio, and Brad White has got it rocking and rolling here early. The rushing yards, Brooks has been the guy that just really carried the Panthers by far and away. 8.3 average, 10 touchdowns, only 1 fumble. He's averaging over 100 yards per game. He's broken 20 tackles. He's got a long of 75, 957 yards for the rookie out of Texas. Etienne having a pretty good season. Allen a pretty good season. Cook right up there. Whew, that one stuck up on me, as it always does. But Brooks really running away with this one early on. Now, you got to look at the touchdown leaders here. You got Garindo. I don't know how to say it. The guy's got speed. Not a ton of touches, which is why you're probably not going to see him. He's averaging pretty well, 6 yards a carry, but not getting all of those touches. And Jacobs with the Packers with 13 touchdowns. Madison with 12 for the Raiders. Looking at some receiving leaders here. DeMarco, not surprising, 43 for 1,118 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's what he likes to do. He likes to stretch the offense and really get you going downhill. Adunze, he's got 9 touchdowns, 950 yards. Diggs, 909, only 2 though. Fredrickson, 888 and 8 touchdowns. Chase, 880. Golly, 7 touchdowns. Down here, you got Downs with 7, Neighbors with 6, couple guys with 8. Ooh, got Evans with 12. You got McLaurin with 11. So you got some guys having really good seasons. No one's super running away with it outside of what Roger does with wide receivers. We've seen him do that quite a bit. Let's see who our number 1 tight end is here. Mr. Brock Bowers, 37 for 742 and 6. Probably going to get some FPR reports before this season is over with. And then down here, Mr. Pitts, 37 for 512 and 5 touchdowns. Henry and Kittle, 31 each and 5 touchdowns for Henry. Looking at some defense here, your tackle leaders. Let's see. Let's go tackles here. Mr. White, Kazir White. I love having him. I don't know why, but this guy always seems to play well for me the few Maddens I've had him. Jerome Baker, 84 tackles. Raekwon Smith, 81. Levante David, 80. Gonzalez, 75. Your tackle for loss leaders, Kenny Clark. This guy's a monster on the defensive line. 25 tackles for loss. Van Ness, 19. Boy, that's a nice little combo to have there if you're the Green Bay Packers. And then your sack leaders, Van Ness at 10.5, Lawrence at 8. I love that these numbers are not crazy. I'm not even going to try to say Mr. Justin's last name. Williams with 7, Jones with 7. And then finally, your interception leaders, we touched on him just a little bit. 11 interceptions there for Marshawn Lattimore. Mr. Warner, Fred Warner with 7, White with 7, Peterson with 6. Boy, a couple of LSU guys there at the tippy top there. Kazir White with 6, Bates with 6, a bunch of guys here with 6. So a couple guys really leading. And I like to look at the forced fumbles. We see a guy with 4 and 3. Joe Hayden. He's got 4 forced fumbles over there. Mr. Kazar White, this guy's got to get some Defensive Player of the Award nominations. He's got 6 interceptions, 6 tackles for loss, 85 tackles, 4 deflections, and 3 forced fumbles. Any touchdowns in the season? He's got none. My goodness, Mr. Hayden's got 3 touchdowns already. Tre'Davious White with 5. Could you guys stop throwing him the ball? He's playing absolutely great over there. What's up, Bill? What's up, Kevin? Good to see you guys. So there's a quick look at a couple of defensive leaders and offensive leaders, actually just stat leaders. We'll look at a couple team leaders here. Total offense, you got the Bengals, Broncos, and Raiders at the top. Looking at the pass offense, Patriots, Bengals, and Texans. Your rush offenses, Panthers, Colts, and Vikings. The Colts one, surprising. Usually that leads to some success on the field. Hasn't quite played out that way for the Colts so far. Total defense, 49ers, Cowboys, and Falcons. Looking at the pass defense, Cardinals, Broncos, and Seahawks. The rush defense, did I do that right? I guess I didn't do that right. Lions, Ravens, and 49ers. Rush defense, Cowboys, 49ers, and Steelers. A lot of guys playing really, really good defense. You see the Cowboys, they're just playing outstanding defense. And tip to the cap there to the Packers, finding their way up here, at least in points given up. Your sack leaders, Ravens, Packers, Bills. Your fumble leaders, Raiders, Ravens, Packers. Your interception leaders, Jaguars, Giants, and Packers. Packers right up there in the top 3 of everything here this season. That could lead to a nice little playoff run as we get to the end here. I don't really know what else to talk about. There are no mailbag questions. Nothing to really talk about here. Yeah, there's no mailbag questions. So nothing to really unpack with the mailbag. I guess you guys are as interested in this season as I am, which is not a whole lot. I did want to look at some transactions. We are now past the trade deadline. So I want to look at a couple of trades that went down at the very end. I will look at a couple of signings that also happened. Colts traded a 4th round pick and a 1st round pick. And they get Javonte Holland out of that one. He's going to go over to the Colts. Colts traded a 3rd round pick. The Vikings gave a 1st round pick to the Colts. And Murphy, that one's confusing. Maybe I'm not fully understanding that one. Oh, they got Quentin Nelson in that one as well. So Murphy and a 1st round pick went for Nelson and a 3rd round pick. 49ers and Green Bay, I don't even know what to say about that. The Bengals and the Eagles traded there. It looks like they swapped a couple of players. Saints and Jaguars made a pick there, which is not working out for me at all. Giants and Texans made a little deal there for Jalen Petrie for a second-round pick. Looks like the Ravens and Texans made a deal for Stephon Diggs. Titans and Cowboys made a deal for Burks and Damon Clark. And so a couple of little trades there. Nothing that really catches your eye except for the San Francisco Green Bay deal. That's a pretty big deal between the Colts and the Vikings that also went through. And then I guess you can consider Marshawn Lattimore being traded as another big one. Let's look at the signed or the re-signed players that have happened so far this season. Julian Blackmon, a 3-year, $16.8 million deal from the Colts. Byron Murphy, a 2-year, $8.2 million deal from the Colts. T. Higgins, a 3-year, $36 million deal from the Bengals. Harrison Phillips, 2-year, $23 million for the big defensive tackle. Vikings re-signed A.J. Dillon, a 5-year, $25 million deal. So you're seeing like some deals here that are like pretty good money or a pretty decent like deal for the team. Not super terrible. Then you get to Brandon Ayuk, 4 years, $81.6 million, man. That's some good money to Brandon Ayuk. Surprised that D-Money spent that money on him. Titans re-signed Bobby Freeman to a 5-year, $100 million contract. So we see our first $100 million guy here. Eli Barkley, here's your second guy, 4 years, $113. You're starting to see the wide receivers getting big deals here. Cowboys re-signed defensive tackle Osa, not even going to try it, 2 years, $14.6. Dak Prescott, a 2-year, $91 million. I would assume it's going to be some kind of like cap salary thing that he can get rid of him if he needs to after 1 year. Nick Chubb, 3 years, $40 million. Warren Barnes, 7 for $168. The import outside linebacker for the Panthers got paid in this one. Titans re-signed Jordan Love to a 5-year, $200 million contract, and do I have that right? That is now Mr. Kobe. So Kobe spending that money over there in Tennessee. Caleb Farley, 5 years, 19.5. Isaiah Simmons, 5 for $39. Marcus Andrews, 5 for $67. So the import middle linebacker, pretty decent deal there. Rodney Harrison, 2 for $7.6. Austin Colby, 2 for $11. Brandon Stevenson, 4 for $24. Talalonga, 4 for $52. It's a pretty good deal. Draymond Lamar, 5 for $26. Good deal for the team there. CD Lamb, 4 for $113. That's a really good deal there for the Dallas Cowboys. They're spending that money, though. Linebacker Willie Gay got 4 for $28. Rashid got 5 for $44. Debo, 6 for $40. And Chase Young with the big deal. I used my custom contract on him, 7 for $108 on that guy. Buccaneers, wide receiver Chris Godwin got 4 for $55. Andrew Lawrence got 6 for $88. Another guy spending big money. And then defensive tackle Jerome Wayne, the import defensive tackle, getting 3 for $55 million. So a couple of guys spending some money there, and we'll see how that plays out long term. I think we're going to learn pretty quickly what was the positions that was smart to spend money on, and what were the positions that maybe you should have laid back just a little bit. Maniac said, what's the outlook on the draft? I have no clue. I haven't even looked at the draft. We can sort of try to wing it a little bit, but I guess I'd be giving up some of my stuff here, so I suppose I don't want to do that. What do I want to do? Let's go reverse engineer the teams. At least we'll look at what the top 10 would be right now if the draft started tonight. And what might they be going after? The Commanders would have the number 1 draft pick. We know they got a quarterback. I would tend to believe they're going running back. They're going offensive lineman. I think something like that. I guess they could go defense. Cornerback always seems like a sexy position. So I would say cornerback or impact position there, or possibly wide receiver to give their guys some more weapons. The Colts right now projected with the second pick I really don't know what Randy would go after. My heart tells me they're probably going to go after offensive lineman. He's got the running back. He's got to figure out some quarterback things there. I don't know if he's unhappy, if he's happy. I don't know what all is going on there. But it would tend to believe not quarterback and probably offensive lineman. Probably trades out of that, get some asset, get some offensive lineman later in that draft. Maybe he goes impact player, right? Maybe he's going cornerback. Maybe he's going linebacker. I don't know. Maybe these guys are going to go after a defensive end or something like that. The Jets at 2-7, Eagles at 2-7, Saints at 2-7, Rams at 2-6, Lions at 2-6. Jets got to go quarterback, right? There's got to be a quarterback in the mix there. Eagles, they're picking up a couple of quarterbacks there. They have a lot of offensive weapons. That defense is outstanding. I'm probably guessing they're going offensive line. They're going running back. Could surprise us with a quarterback. Saints probably could surprise us with a quarterback, but I probably tend to believe tight end's going to be a need for me. Defensive backfield like safety, strong safety is going to be a need. Possibly interior defensive line. Rams at 2-6 are going to need a lot of things. I think defense, possibly offensive line. And then the Detroit Lions, another team, I feel like they have a lot of weapons. I think they can kind of pick best player available, get things turned around for the next season. I would assume somewhere in the defensive backfield, back 4, back 7, linebacker, safety, cornerback, something like that for the Detroit Lions. Texans, Patriots, Chargers, Chiefs, Titans, Steelers. Texans offensive line, running back would not surprise me. He also loves wide receivers. Patriots, I think he needs weapons, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line. Chargers, I don't know. I think they have a lot of pieces. Linebacker, maybe somebody in the defensive backfield. Chiefs, I think they have a ton of weapons. I really like that offense. Maybe he's trying to get another wide receiver in there. I also think he could invest in that linebacking core, that defensive line core, try to get them a little bit younger. Titans, I think he needs to figure out the quarterback situation. He did re-sign Love, so I guess no, he's got the quarterback situation figured out. So I'm guessing offensive weapons. Running back is going to probably be a need. Wide receiver a need. Offensive line's probably going to be a need. And then finally the Steelers. I don't even know who their quarterback is off the top of my head. Quarterback could probably be a need. Running back probably a need. Wide receiver probably a need. I feel like he just needs some offensive weapons. He needs to add some speed to that team. We also have to just see what the players are once they get a little bit closer in this one. All right, I think that's going to wrap us up. We don't have anything else here that we can look at. No mailbag questions. Nothing else here to unpack, so we're going to go ahead and land this ship. Sorry for flying solo. I did not think Maniac was going to be up, and Mr. Dwayne was playing, and so I didn't hear from anybody, and I just let's fire this thing up and let's get this thing going. Guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with me here on a Monday night. I also didn't want to keep reading chat. My poor Saints, not playing good football right now. They're pretty beat up, and they're almost as bad as the OMFL Saints. So also don't want to worry about anybody. This community will just be fine if I do decide to sort of hang it up and walk away. I got really good dudes here. They can keep things rolling. It may not be called the OMFL, but there'll be something here that continues to roll. Too many really good guys. I just think the game has absolutely passed me by. I feel like gaming in general has passed me by. And I thought I'd be one of those guys that played until he was 60 or 70 years old, but I don't like losing. No one likes to lose. So I'm just not having fun. Haven't had fun in a couple of Madden cycles. And if you don't have fun, you shouldn't keep doing it. So guys, thank you again for hanging out. I love you. I appreciate you. It doesn't matter because we're here for this cycle and that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about it again. I will be back tomorrow night with some college football. Probably Wednesday, Thursday. I know I got to reach out to Big Hurt for the OMFL. Should be a really good time. Jay White, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you. Guys, I'm going to call it a night right now. You guys have a great night. Know that you matter. You are loved. And I cannot wait to see you on the next one. We'll see you. Peace.
Yeah.
Smash that like and subscribe.